Polish American Christian Association PAKA TV prezentuje. 29 września odbył się w Chicago meeting Liberate Hong Kong w celu poparcia ludzi walczących w Hongkongu z chińską komuną. Pamiętaj, tam gdzie ludzie walczą z komuną, walczą również o Twoją wolność. Dla przypomnienia, 20 lat temu, kiedy Wielka Brytania oddawała Hongkong komunistycznym Chinom, podpisano międzynarodową umowę, na mocy której przez 50 lat Hongkong zachowa swój ustrój i prawo. Nazwali to jedno państwo, dwa ustroje. Przez 20 lat komunistyczne Chiny podejmowały różne próby podkopywania tych zasad. Ostatnia, poważna próba to ustawa zarządu Hongkongu z lipca 2019 roku o deportacji spraw sądowych do komunistycznych Chin pod jurysdykcję komunistów. W lipcu obywatele Hongkongu w proteście wyszli na ulicę. Próba zagonienia ich do chałupy była jak dolanie oliwy do ognia. W sierpniu na ulicach są miliony. We wrześniu protestujący proszą świat o pomoc. W październiku zarząd Hongkongu wprowadza stan wyjątkowy. Ludzie w Hongkongu nie przerywają protestów.
Okay, we are in Chicago right now. We try to talk to this protester from this Hong Kong. Where are you from exactly?
Well, I'm from Hong Kong, but I studied in America for a while, and I'm now actually working in America. But I was back in Hong Kong over the summer from the 8th of June, in fact. So the whole protest rose in the 9th of June, and I was back all then until the mid of August.
Can you tell us what it's about?
Well, the whole movement is just more than just a bill, but on the surface, it's reported that we're trying to getting the government in terms of stopping them to pass through the extradition bill, which is a bill which allows China to extradite anyone who they call a criminal who have violated a law in China, and they could just extradite him or her from Hong Kong directly without any control by the Hong Kong government.
You know, you're not this criminal. You're just fighting for the freedom. That's a different story. And this, can you tell us what the China is doing about this? You're protesting. There's a million of people on the streets sometimes.
Yeah, in fact, well, on the 9th of June, as a lot of people have known, 1 million marched out on the street, and the response from the Hong Kong government was, we're still trying to pass the bill. That was the only response at then. But then, now more and more, the Chinese regime and the communist government in China is trying to phrase our movements and protests as a colored revolution, trying to overthrow the government. But we're actually just trying to get universal suffrage and the 5 demands.
So how does the communist China is reacting for this? You're protesting people over there?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I would like to know what is the communist China is talking about you guys and what's going on over there exactly.
Well, they're saying we don't respect the law, while they're actually the one who has not been respecting the basic laws in Hong Kong for the past 22 years. They employ triads and mobs in Hong Kong to beat people in the MTR, to have white terror in controlling the people, trying to suppress the people from coming out on the streets. Officially, they've been saying that they support the Hong Kong government, whatever decision they make. But they've been there are signs that have shown that the Chinese are trying to suppress this whole movement without actually addressing any of our concerns and issues at all.
I hear these people singing this song. This is
Glory to Hong Kong.
Glory to the sing the glory to the Lord. This is there's a Christians.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the Christians in China right now, in Hong Kong?
Well, coming from an Anglican school background while I was studying in Hong Kong, I do think that our freedom, our religious freedom, is actually one of our core values, which which we uphold very high in Hong Kong. Everyone can have their own religious freedom, but in China, that's not the case. Churches are being torn down. A holy cross in different churches are being brought down because the government might not like the pastor or any officials that they like. But just like how they're handling Tibet, they try to have their own version of the religion. So they're actually Chinese communist controlled Catholicism or any types of church in China, but then you have to be approved by the Chinese government in terms of having a church that's on the surface. But then there are more and more underground Catholic and Christian church in China that are being suppressed.
Do you believe it was connected with this Pope was betraying the China Catholics to this communist government in China?
Unfortunately, I do think the Pope should be voicing out more in terms of the underground Christians or Catholics and Catholics in China, because it's actually an act of betrayal. For a lot of people have died for the cause in terms of their religious freedom, and while the Pope is getting close to China, he's actually betraying all those who have sacrificed their life. People have died for that cause in China.
Because I heard this Pope was have a contract with this communist government in China and basically betrayed these people in Hong Kong and China. Can you say something about this?
I'm not sure I'm well equipped to comment.
Yeah,
on
because
that
this Christians is like a Pope. He was talking to this government in China, the communist government in China, and they have as like this right now. You guys have as they can let's say decide this who is the head guys in the China in the church, and they basically the government, Chinese communist government, deciding who is running the church in China.
Exactly. And what was the question? Sorry.
No, this, how you think how this affecting you guys, because this is like a betraying this Christians in China.
So in Hong Kong, the officials try to meet with like 6 largest different religions, and the Hong Kong government is trying to tell them to suppress the people in terms of how they voice themselves out, be peaceful and everything. But then it's obvious that the communist government regime has more and more control of who's actually in charge of the Catholic Church in Hong Kong too.
I hear very often in the Chinese government saying in the news is you are just bad people doing this bad stuff, you are aggressive, you attack the police and stuff like that. You was there, is it true?
I don't think so. Well, to be honest, I think both the Chinese government and the Hong Kong police force and the Hong Kong government is trying to dehumanize every protester. They've been calling us cockroaches, and we're well aware of what's that implying. That there's a reason why people call China Nazi right now, because it's the same deal that they're doing. I don't think protesters want to be violent, but when we're beaten up, what are we supposed to do? And I think that the issue is when 1 million came out in March, the government didn't respond at all, aside from telling them that we're still going for, apart from responding by having a press release on the internet that the bill is still going on. 2 million came out with 5 demands, and for 3 months, the chief executive hasn't responded at all. She claims that she listens to people, but then the 5 demands are very clear. The majority of Hong Kong do care about the 5 demands. Last week, she had a meeting with 150 handpicked Hong Kongers in a meeting, just randomly selected. They selected 30 who can actually voice out the voice in a direct question to chief executive. 80% of that, amongst that 30 people, actually insisted on the 5 demands. So I think that it's clear that what the people want. It's just about whether the government's actually hearing us. If they're hearing us, what should they do in response to all our demands?
As a communist government, you know, they never listen to the people, you know. I'm from Poland, so
Yeah.
we have this like basically 30 years ago. We have exactly the same fight, and I used to be in your suit
Yeah.
30 years ago, so I know how you're feeling.
Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. So I wish you this all best.
Yeah.
I wish you to have your country back, and hopefully you guys have a government who are going to listen to this people like you. 2 million. Can you remind me how many citizens in this Hong Kong?
So 2 million out of 7 million citizens in Hong Kong have came out in June in response to the government on this bill.
So we're talking about the 25% of people was on the street in the one day together, and they're not saying this enough to listen to these people.
Yes, 2 out of 7 people. So that's some basic maths that I think everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you guys all good, and hopefully you be safe. Thank you so much for your
Free Hong Kong.
free Hong Kong.
Thank you.